Hello there folks, welcome back.
Hi.
Welcome back to Spoiler Alert, where we deep dive into the various films and TV shows that we've been watching.
Deep diving into the water.
Deep diving into the water, that's right. Highly touted for a whole bunch of Oscars.
Yeah.
As we record this.
So yeah. Just justifiably so.
Yeah, it was... it was really good.
It was. Yeah, I think we both loved it, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Guillermo del Toro. I've watched a whole bunch of his films before, but I think this might have been your kind of first one. I don't think you've seen Pan's Labyrinth or Hellboy or Devil's Backbone. No. But this is really cool. It's basically kind of a kind of monster love story in a way, like a cross between Creature from the Black Lagoon meets Beauty and the Beast by way of Splash, but gender flipped. Sally Hawkins plays this mute character, Eliza, who works at this government installation, and one day this asset turns up and it turns out to be this aquatic creature from South America, played by Doug Jones, who's worked with Guillermo del Toro a lot. Evil, nefarious government man Mr. Strickland, played by Michael Shannon, who is amazing in this villain role. Just wants to kind of torture it and cut it up and dissect it to work out what it is and what it does. And yeah, this is all set against the backdrop of like the Cold War, McCarthyism, the early 60s, race riots, that side of things. And yeah, Sally Hawkins' character Eliza just sort of kind of falls in love with it. Him.
Also, don't forget the Russians. So the Russians are trying to stop the Americans from making any advancements. So the Russians are also trying to get the creature back. Yeah,
and there's a character in it, Dr. Hofstetler, who is actually a Russian spy, but one of the lead scientists on this case, and he's very like, his superiors want this asset dead or alive, and he's just like, no, we need to this thing's beautiful. We need to not cut it up or dissect it or treat it poorly. Like, this thing's wonderful. We need to befriend and study it and be nice to it, basically. Yeah. I think one really nice thing about this film is that it's all about sort of outsiders, really, because I mean, the creature itself, he is very much the outsider. They don't know anything about him, and it's only really sort of Eliza takes the time to sort of get to know him and starts playing him music and feeding him hard-boiled eggs, and it's a really cute, really whimsical kind of quite offbeat kind of relationship that develops. But yeah, like, because she's mute, she sort of talks or signs about feeling like she's incomplete in some ways, or the world around her making her feel incomplete. Her best friend is a black woman at a time when, you know, race riots, police brutality, we see that really early on. There's like a TV set, I think, in her friend Giles's apartment. Giles is a gay man, and again, at a time when, you know, homosexuality very much discriminated against, frowned upon, violence against gay people. There's a TV set in his apartment early on that is sort of showing these race riots happening, Southern police brutality against black people. And that kind of, I guess that kind of sets the backdrop for all this. It's all about these tales of people who've been marginalized, outsiders, and in particular, you know, it centers around the creature in this case, who's very much an unknown entity, and the violence against him, like Strickland's violence against him is
horrible.
It's the frustration of the dominant power being unable or unwilling to understand.
But it's also the fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what you are, so therefore the only way I can deal with you is to beat you up and to make sure that I remain superior and more powerful. And it's all about judging by appearances, isn't it? Because as you say, Eliza is mute and that people are wary of her because she can't speak. And then, yeah, as you say, everyone else is sort of they're just pushed down because they are not the same as Strickland, who is, you know, a white man who therefore thinks that he's so arrogant, so horrifically arrogant. Oh, he's just awful.
There's this, everyone's got their own kind of little sort of mini plot, like, yeah, there's almost movie within a movie, kind of mini arc. Like Giles, for example, played brilliantly by Richard Jenkins, used to be a really, is still a really talented artist, worked for an advertising agency, and it's never really mentioned or like sort of, it's not really explicitly stated, but through kind of various interactions with his old business partner, like, you see that he's been essentially, marginalized, pushed out.
Yeah.
And even now doing sort of freelance stuff from home, he can't get a foot in the door because of his sexuality.
It's also a very small part of that is the advancement of technology, in that he's an artist and he paints. He's painting things in his business partner, whether or not it's because he's gay. Like, it's also partly because they want to start using photography instead. And so it's quite an interesting thing. This old man sort of sat in his apartment trying desperately to cling on to what he's really good at. I mean, he's obviously very talented, and not really finding a place for him anymore because now there's cameras and photos and they can use that and design whatever posters they want using photography instead. So there's a whole load of things going on, which is really interesting. Also, Zelda, Eliza's friend from work, has this useless husband who is just so horrible, because he just sits there and he's just like, wait on me, do this, go answer the door, make my dinner, do this, I've got backache, I can't possibly get up and help anything.
This is while she's holding down a full-time job and
exactly,
dealing with all that bullshit.
And also being totally awesome. And in the end, she sort of tells him where to go, and she says, I'm going to, she wants to phone Eliza. Basically, Eliza is trying to get the creature out, and Zelda knows, and she knows that Strickland is on to Eliza, and that Strickland is going to Eliza's to find her and potentially kill her, or harm her at least. And so Zelda's going to phone Eliza and warn her, and her husband's like, no, you can't. And then they have this great conversation where Zelda's just like, do you know what, I've had enough of you, I've literally just had enough, like, you will not stop me doing this. And she's totally awesome. So it's, there's a little bit of female awesomeness there as well, which was great. So yeah, I thought she was great. Octavia Spencer's
pretty much great in everything. But like this, I think, this movie really belongs to Sally Hawkins. Like she just turns in the most, it's delightful performance, I guess, as Eliza. Like her interactions with Giles, the way she subtly subverts as well, like Strickland and the power dynamics there, like amongst everything else. So he's white, middle class, he buys a Cadillac because of the life it's supposed to represent, he has mechanical missionary sex with his Stepford wife so it's his Stepford wife partner. He lashes out at and uses this disgusting cattle prod to against anything he doesn't understand. And yeah, he attempts to sort of hit on and acts quite sexually aggressive towards Eliza at work. He's just the saddest thing of it, the saddest thing about it, I guess, in many ways, is that character isn't rooted in 60s McCarthyism. Like he's a symptom of that, obviously, but I think one of the most alarming things, and we were talking about it after the cinema, like, is that he's recognisable today. Yeah, very and that's. Is the devil that you know, and the devil that has always been there and still persists. Yeah. And that kind of shoot first, ask questions later mentality is... Yeah. It's like that I can do anything because of who I am kind of thing. And also it's just looking out at all times, looking for someone else's weakness or difference or something to exploit. And then to take it for your own ends and to... It's just awful. There's a little bit of a little dig at the religious right as well in there, because he's clearly a Christian man, and he says, men were created in God's image. Like that's not God's image, pointing towards the amphibious man. And then also saying that Zelda is also not in God's image. Yeah, and he's like, I'm the only one that is. Yeah, and I guess there's almost like a. Because we sort of started talking a little bit about kind of stewardship versus dominion, like the idea, I can't even remember, like, Bible passages or anything like that. There's a whole thing about, like, man shall have dominion over the earth or whatever. And there's an idea between, like, stewardship, like, looking after this place and looking after the creatures in it, and dominion basically meaning that, oh yeah, we can cut up anything we like because we're making God's image. And, like, that being very much kind of what Strickland embodies, and him being massively subverted by all of these outsiders around him brilliantly. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all totally awesome.
Yeah, and ultimately coming a cropper, spoilers, to the amphibious man in the end, and the love that he shares with Eliza.
With a great last line before he gets killed. Like, maybe you are a god after all, or something. And then he's like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to slice your neck open now and watch you die. And it's great and very, very satisfying.
It is. In that respect, it is that kind of sort of fairy tale, because it follows that that kind of arc. Everything turns out more or less okay in the end for most of the people concerned. Sorry, Russian spy dude.
Yeah, he did not have a happy ending.
He did not have a great ending. Sacrificed himself, but yeah, someone needs to along the way, like just to.
Although, I mean, he also gave them away.
Yeah, he did.
He sacrificed himself, but also while he was being horrifically tortured, did give Eliza up. So he's not 100%, you know.
But I mean, I
mean, if someone had their hand on your gut because you had been shot in the stomach and then they put their hand inside you and squeezed you, you probably might give away people too.
That's not nice.
You know.
I will say, I don't really think the film had a huge amount of. It wasn't necessarily. I don't think it maximised tension, but I only realised that kind of as an afterthought afterwards. I was too busy being carried along by the loveliness of the entire film, because it is lovely. Like Strickland aside, the cinematography in this, but the music especially.
Yeah. Oh, the music.
The music is
outstanding.
It's phenomenal.
It's just incredible. And also, like, sometimes I find myself switching off from the music. Sometimes I enjoy a film, like, unless it's a film that's very. This was very music based. Like the score played a huge role in it for me. But sometimes I don't really always notice the music, and people will say, "Oh, that score is amazing," and I don't always notice. Like sometimes I am so engrossed in the plot that I sort of prioritize that, I guess, and afterwards I couldn't tell you what the music was, or which maybe is weird, but that's just how I work. But with this one, I was really aware of it the whole way through, because I was like, this is so incredible. Like, and it was just it just fitted together really nicely. I felt it made a really nice whole. And I just really, yeah, I thought it was amazing.
It was quite weird, because like a lot of it is, felt, really, really nice and fitted towards that kind of 60s era stuff. But there was some there were some really playful elements to it as well. Like you mentioned when we were chatting after seeing it, that it felt quite Parisian.
Yeah, it was like, it had a really sort of French cafe vibe, like in some of the recurring themes, which was really beautiful. And as you say, it was because Eliza was such a beautiful character. She was so wonderful. She had so much going for her, and she was so, I don't know, she was kind. She was kind, really kind. And you really, really rooted for her, and she had this wonderful little theme. I thought they did an excellent job. And as you say, the design and the set design and the everything was just. I
mean, just go back to the sort of like the French elements and the music. Like it added to that kind of romantic feel.
Yeah.
Because at no point do you really question it. Or at least I certainly didn't during the film. I wasn't. I mean, this is and it goes to its ultimate conclusion. Like Del Toro pushes this to the ultimate conclusion of the relationship in terms of sex, and there's quite a bit of nudity in this. And Eliza is quite a sexually awakened woman.
Yeah.
But at no point did it feel weird.
No,
despite the fact that this is he's a completely different species dude. Even when she's like gossiping with Zelda about it, and they're talking about the sex and how it works. It was just sweet and endearing and seemed normal.
Yeah. Yeah, which is good.
Which is incredible, really. It just made it more it made it more emotionally believable, I think, and without which I don't think this would have been anywhere nearly as special.
But it was very special.
It was a really beautiful film.
It was really, yeah, it was wonderful, and helped by the fact that at the end, the creature was immortal, which was wonderful. Because then it meant that even though Strickland tried to kill them, he didn't succeed, and it was a wonderful ending, and it was just such a heartwarming film.
I did wonder whether at the end, they'd be together in death.
Yeah.
But then his regenerative capabilities earn them a happy ending. which you know I'm not adverse to. I was quite nice.
And actually, you should never underestimate something just because it's different. Does not mean it's inferior.
Exactly.
It probably means it's more awesome.
Yeah, like they weren't worshipping him because like as a god because they didn't understand him. They worshipped him because he was freaking awesome. Which Strickland only really realised at the last. He's almost a tragic character, Strickland. He's almost a tragic character. But not quite.
But you can't feel sorry for him.
No.
He deserved everything he got.
Yeah. But yeah. Shape of Water.
Go see it if you haven't.
Go see it. Cracking film.
Yeah.
If you've seen it already, let us know what you guys thought in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, we'll be back next week. With another edition.
Plenty of films to see.
Oh God,
so excited. So many films.
This is what we were saying. We were saying we need to get to the cinema. There are so many good films. There's so much good TV.
Yeah, I know. But looking at the Oscars list, like there is some.
Oh my God.
We've got a couple of weeks before Jessica Jones 2 comes back, and we've got to maximise that time.
But this is the thing. There's Phantom Thread, Black Panther, Lady Bird.
Still haven't seen 3 Billboards.
Still haven't seen 3 Billboards.
So we've got some work to do. We're gonna go do some catching up. And so we'll be back very soon.
Cool. Stay tuned, hit subscribe, turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Yeah. See you then.
Folks.
Bye.